Okay. Welcome to, what do we call this? Drunken podcast?
Gaming podcast and drunk.
Gaming podcast and drunk.
I don't know.
We're already pretty smashed by this point.
No name podcast, yay.
So,
Look at that waveform.
I've already hit on the pizza delivery driver.
Ah.
So,
She gave, well, not really. She hit on the pizza delivery driver, and we think he's gay.
which is pretty ironic, so, talking about being drunk, what is this in my drink? Is that like a bug?
Why?
Oh, there's like a bug in my drink.
No.
What is this? Oh, this is like a piece of trash. Okay, sorry. So first question of the night, not first question, but just to let you guys know, I'm hosting the podcast tonight.
I decided that I didn't want any responsibility today, so she's hosting. So any hate comments can be directed toward her.
Exactly. So any questions that we talk about or any discussions, it's really something I decided we should do, and, so I feel like it's gonna be an on and off thing, because I know Brian's pretty lazy, so.
Oh.
So the first question of the night is, what are you drinking, Brian?
I am drinking a Cape Cod with a twist. Cape Cods are usually cranberry juice, vodka, and a lime wedge or lime juice. But I'm drinking it with lemon juice tonight, and it tastes good.
Alright, that's good. I'm actually drinking wine. I'm drinking Chateau de Michel Riesling. Riesling is actually my favorite type of wine. I've never actually had Chateau de Michel, which is ironic because Michelle is my name, so you know.
Hello.
I'm pretty sure you pronounce it Michael though in French.
No, it's Michelle.
Really?
Michelle is a French name.
Yeah, but don't they spell Michelle like Michael?
No, Michelle is a French name. It stands for douchebag.
So Brian's a dickbag. Anyway, so that's what we're drinking tonight. Mm-hmm. I did have some beer earlier, but wine was really my goal for the night, so I'm all set. So, in what's the word? Fucking inconsistency with me hosting podcast, I decided that I wanted to talk about something really controversial. Quite a few controversial topics, actually.
I'm on it.
And the first one is moral decisions in the gaming world.
Okay.
Which basically encompasses, like, being a bad guy in Skyrim, or being a bad guy in SOTOR, or just being a bad guy all around in any game you are. Mm-hmm. What does that have effect on the real world, do you think? Does being able to be a bad guy affect you in real life, or more than regular games? First
of all, I want to say that, this is kind of a side, but it relates to it. I love Mass Effect 2. That's my favorite game of all time. I played it once through as Paragon Shepard, and I tried again to play it as Renegon Shepard, but...
Renegade?
Yeah, Renegade. I felt like the choices were so bad and so what I wouldn't do that I couldn't do it. I had to stop that playthrough. Because, when I'm playing Dragon Age, for example, too, another BioWare game, or like Skyrim, I always choose the kind of good things, which is normally what I would do. So I don't choose the bad options only because I put myself in that situation, and I'm like, no, I would help this dog, or D-O-W-G, or I would
Dowd?
Dog.
Oh.
Like, my dog, not like a dog. I'd help this dog, but I wouldn't, decide, oh, this guy needs to die just based on what playthrough I'm going through. I'm the type of gamer that I play through the game once, and that means I'll play through the game the way I want to play through it, which is normally Paragon of the good side.
I accept that. I play games like that, but at the same time, I always play games games with, really hard permanent decisions. For example, a game I've recently been playing with Rob, SOTOR, which the game heavily relies on the choices you make, the story, type of items you get, and I think it's really dependent on what kind of class you're playing, what's the story like, and how you would react to it. Like, for example, as an operative on the Imperial side, I was very lighthearted, I always helped people out, but then I feel like that was the way to go for the operative side, whereas first class was a bounty hunter, and holy shit, all I did was piss people off. And it's like, I
love
felt
the
like,
bounty hunter.
exactly, the bounty hunter is so satisfactory to be evil in, it's like you can't help it. But my question is, does that affect anything in real life? Does moral decisions, do you think that really affect, like, I know this has been a debate for years, and I know it's kind of been disapproved, but, there's always that doubt that maybe, like, being evil in a game makes you want to be evil in real life, the satisfactory feeling you get. What I don't particularly agree with, just because, it's gaming life is so unreal. Like when you daydream, video games to me are like daydreaming. Once you're in your daydream, it's like it's just a whole different. We're in real life, and real life is so much more different than video games.
I don't know. I feel like if there was a study that was done really recently that actually people playing violent video games were less violent. I know there's studies that have been done that say people are more violent with violent video games. There's been studies that say people are less violent, and studies that say it doesn't affect people. But I've been playing video games since I was 6 years old. I've been jumping on turtles. I've been shooting people in the head. I've been lining up headshots since I was 6 years old. But I'm not going to go out and buy a fucking sniper rifle and just shoot people because I feel like that's fun to do. Like, I understand that that's video games versus real life, but do I think, like, video games and the choices you make in video games lead to people being bad? Honestly, I really don't know. That's for, like, a psychiatrist to decide, because
I agree. It's hard to tell from a, like, minuscule standpoint, like, talking about SOTOR and just the many decisions you make.
So let's say you
versus, like, a real life playing GTA versus Mario, you know?
So that's why you play 3 games. You're playing Star Wars: The Old Republic, you're playing Dragon Age, and you're playing Skyrim. 3 games that allow you to make moral choices. If you're playing those games and you're choosing all bad choices, does that make you a bad person? No one really knows. Maybe you're choosing bad choices because it's funny. Maybe you're choosing bad choices because that's what you really do. Or maybe you're choosing bad choices because you haven't done that playthrough yet. It's just different things. Everybody is different. And a lot of people don't understand that. People like to generalize. It's like people who play like MMOs like WoW and everything. They picture like fat dudes with Cheetos eating stuff and drinking Coke. Like, I used to do that, yeah, but sure. But you know what I mean? It's like you shouldn't generalize like the same as like women don't like to be generalized. They're all women, or they cook, they clean, they do whatever. But you shouldn't do that. It's the same thing with gamers. Or, anybody else, any other group that you think about. You shouldn't ever generalize, which is my kind of philosophy.
Alright, I accept. Going into deeper topic about that, a subtopic that I've added into my discussion.
List.
Or list, whatever. Have you ever heard of Gamergate, Brian? Gamergate?
Slightly, but please explain what it is.
Alright, so I'm going to start off with a disclaimer that this is a very controversial topic. This is the controversial topic I was talking about to Brian earlier.
Okay.
Where that he shouldn't make any too harsh decisions.
Don't take a side, basically.
Exactly. And there are 2 subtopics. I'm going to first start off with Gamergate. Basically, Gamergate has 2 sides. There's the Gamergate is actually about ethics and gaming journalism side, which I will talk about, and there's the Gamergate neckbeard, really extreme side that I will also talk about. So, first of all, the Gamergate ethics and journalism side is very legit. It's extremely legitimate, in my opinion. It's basically, like IGN, even Game Informer, which I know Brian loves, has been basically bought out by game developers and game publishers, both, who want good reviews on their games before the game even has come out, and in order to get people to buy it, which me and Brian talked about a little bit earlier without him knowing about it. But basically, you give a good review on a game before it even comes out, and people will buy it, and they'll make money, and even though the game is shitty, people will trust in you to make that decision. Whereas Gamergate basically happened because some girl made a game and she slept with a game reviewer. I'm pretty sure. I'm not exactly all clear on the details
No,
here.
that sounds familiar.
Plus, I'm super drunk, so you can't judge me.
It sounds familiar.
And so the guy was like, she slept with a game developer. Of course, she's gonna get good reviews and blah 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 blah. All right, you guys probably have known about this.
Yeah.
But my stance on this is basically, it's the same shit. It's SSDD. Same shit, different day. I'm sure shit like this had happened in like the 1990s where somebody slept with somebody to get a game review going, and same thing shit happens in the movies. You can't blame anybody since video games are becoming more popular, And of course there's always like a bad party, somebody either slept with somebody or somebody bribed somebody. But like, of course I don't know. I don't even know how to talk about it because...
So I have a good quote from, Michelle mentioned Game Informer, which is a site that I visit often, and I view their replays, which is they play older video games. There was a review from one of their new editors. His name is Daniel Tack, which Michelle might not even know.
I do not.
He's their new PC editor since Adam Beesner left.
Okay.
And he said that no, he's gone. He said that the reviews were conducted to where they were at a hotel or something. They went to a small room with no talk from the developers. They played the game, the review of the game, and then they went back and they wrote their reviews on it. He gave it a 9 out of 10, which is a very high score. Whether or not that's true, I can't 100% verify, but I still believe them. Those Call of Duty games, which is the games that people like to talk about as reviews that get too high of a score, is I believe
which I've personally never played.
I believe the Call of Duty games are very, very much worked on and are high production games, but at the same time, does hold on, I'm sorry. But at the same time, those games are, millions of dollars worth of production values, and if those games were to flop, that would mean people lose their jobs, and people were to just, lose a whole bunch of money, especially like the shareholders. Do I think some of those scores are increased because of EA and how much money they have? Yes. But do I believe those games are bad? No. I think those games are good games, but there's no denying that money has something to do with those review scores. And
okay.
that was my 2 cents.
I don't remember. I'm sorry, I'm really drunk. I don't remember if we talked about this. Did we talk about Gamergate already?
Yes.
Alright, so the second thing I wanted to talk about in relation to moral decisions in Gamergate was social stigmas in gaming. This has been a hot topic ever since feminism was a thing. And basically what I'm talking about is, the whole women are portrayed as too sexy in gaming and blah blah blah. But on my stance on the whole thing as a woman, and as a woman who's played video games, it hasn't really been a big deal. I mean, sure, there are the games that are from Japan that deal with like rubbing women's breasts or whatever, getting the word sexy, boob physics or whatever.
Woo, boob physics.
And that's okay. I mean, boob physics are a thing. There are boob physics in real life. Have you seen them? They're fucking amazing.
Woo!
But the problem that I have with social stigmas is not actually the social stigmas themselves, which aren't as bad. They could be improved upon, but they aren't very as bad as the people who make them out to be. The people I'm talking about are like the feminists, the super feminazis, and I don't want to be too strong on my issue here because I don't want to get called out on it.
Right.
Which I'll eventually be called out on it. But recently, maybe a month or two, there have been people who called out on Bayonetta 2 coming out on the Wii U. And Bayonetta is made by a Japanese female director. Point number 1.
I didn't know that.
Exactly. And Bayonetta is like probably the sexiest but strongest woman in Japanese gaming, in my opinion. She's always dressed in sexy clothing, but she's really super strong, And it's like it's very inspiring, Because I feel like that's how women strive to be. Sexy but strong and blah blah blah, other words that you relate to.
Insert other words here.
Insert other words here. But and people always call her out on it, She's like, oh, she's just another stereotypical woman and gaming. And I'm like, no, that's not true. She's made by a woman who wants people to see that women can be sexy and strong, And it's really depressing to me that people think this way. Bayonetta is such a great game. And a lot of guys think that way, but a lot of women don't. And I feel like that's the difference, That the difference in conflict is because women mostly think about aesthetics. Which, like who wants to see an ugly guy in a movie or in a fucking game?
On that point, I will say this. I am not the strongest, muscle-bound dude. But have you seen these games, especially Gears of War?
Exactly.
Have you seen these guys with huge giant muscles and washboard abs?
That's been in games forever.
Yeah, I don't look at those guys and I don't cut myself, no offense, because they have, giant muscles and huge shoulders, and I don't go, oh my god, I want to be that guy. It's like, no. You see like these really... You never seen an ugly guy in a video game. You never really have. I can't think of one game where there's an ugly protagonist as a dude. And I don't look at those guys and go, oh, I want to be like those guys. It's like, no, it's a video game. Those guys are there because, they appeal to people. It's like, if you have an ugly guy in a video game, you'd be like, ugh, that guy's gross. Why would I play that game?
Exactly. And women are the same way. There's no difference in women. But the only thing is, I know I'm getting a little far in this, and I apologize to Brian for future reference.
Woo!
But women are really sensitive when it comes to appearance, and I don't blame them because society makes appearance very important to them. And when video games, who are super honest, portray women as supposed to be sexy beings, they get offended, and I don't blame them. They should get offended, but at the same time, they should really expect it because that's how video games are. They make the best of everything, and they put it in their own light. And I feel like, especially Bayonetta 2, which is such a great game. I mean, compared to Bayonetta 1, but I mean, it's still such a super awesome game. It's just, why would you bring down a game's gameplay just because the woman is too sexy? Who wants to have ugly people in video games? Nobody. That's who. Nobody wants ugly people in video games.
It's like that new Barbie doll. Yeah, she's new, and have you heard about this, Michelle?
No, I have not.
There's this new Barbie doll that's coming out. It's supposed to be like... It's the average 19-year-old girl. She's like 5'4", and she's got a little bit of meat on her.
5'3", bitch.
No, and she literally comes with cellulite and like acne, like stickers you can put on her. I'm not kidding.
God.
Yeah, you can Google this. And she's like...
What is this bullshit?
Supposed to be the average girl, and it's like... Barbie was never supposed to be like an average woman. She's supposed to be like a doll you played with. I don't understand these people that are like, Barbie's so unrealistic. It's like... Duh, she's a plastic fucking thing. She's unrealistic in the fact that she's manufactured.
It's supposed to be something people strive to be, which, in my opinion, maybe dolls, could be improved upon. But like video games, it's video games. People take that shit way too seriously.
It's a video games.
Exactly. Alright, I want to move on to the next topic because it's almost been 20 minutes.
Woo!
My next topic I want to talk about is, you guessed it, Ubisoft. Or Ubisoft.
Did we talk about that last podcast?
No, we didn't. Ubisoft and his terrible...
Assassin's Creed Unity?
Did we?
Yes, with the $99 DLC.
$99?
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
Yes, we did.
Fuck, I'm drunk. Alright,
so,
we're gonna skip that.
Hold on. As a little aside, I talked with Michelle about this today. It's like, sometimes we get drunk when we do these podcasts, which is all the time, and we forget what we talk about.
Once a week.
And this is what we were talking about. It's like, what if we repeat subjects by accident?
Exactly. So I'm accidentally repeating a subject. I did write Ubisoft and other corporations, so I want to, since we already talked about Ubisoft and its terrible Assassin's Creed DLC, I want to talk about, like, EA, which is notorious for its shitty gameplay.
Oh, man.
But also, also, maybe like companies that people have like silver lining for, like they can't be wrong. Like, who could I say? Big, huge games who went into bankrupt, but all their games are great,
Well,
great quotation marks.
like EA, it's like when you're that big of a company, you're run by a CEO. Does that CEO play video games like we do? No.
Probably not.
No. I'm just gonna say no. It's like these people they just want a game that'll make them money. And does that mean they're bad games? No. They are actually good games. Do they change anything? No. They don't change anything about the video game industry. They make Call of Duty every year like Madden because Madden makes money, and that's what they do. That's business for you. If you don't like it, don't buy it, which people don't understand. They don't think one person can make a difference, but if every person thought that, then no one will make a difference. Blah, 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 politics, blah, blah, blah. But that's why you have these indie games and these indie developers. It's like Bastion. Bastion was one of my favorite games of all time. Why? Because it changed a whole bunch of stuff. And it was so good. Have I played Transistor? No.
I did not like Bastion.
Have I played Transistor? No. Which is our next game because I don't know why I played it. The game sounds like fun. But at the same time, it's like...
Did you play that game?
No, I have not played Transistor. I haven't even started that game. It's a game I'm going to play on Gaming Drunk. But I have not played that game. But EA, they just want to make their shareholders happy so they can keep their people employed and keep making money. Which, I understand, people won't like, but I understand. Hello.
Sorry, I was closing my eyes.
Ha!
Alright, since we're going to skip that one, since we kind of talked about it last time,
Yep.
I want to talk about Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Game that's coming out pretty soon. When this come out, it's probably going to already be out. I don't know, is it coming out like tomorrow or something crazy? I don't know. It's coming out pretty fucking soon or already. I don't remember, I'm drunk. But, what do you think of Pokemon, like the remake?
I don't think anything because I don't play Pokemon anymore.
Alright, well then, it's all going to be about me talking right now. So basically...
You guys have fun with Michelle.
I'm a huge Pokemon fan, I'll be honest. I look at stats, I look at movesets, and for me, shit's always been improving. I know a lot of people are Gen 1ers, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
Gen 1ers.
Gen 1ers, I don't fucking care. People who only like the first 151, which is fine, I don't give a shit. If you only like the first 151, that's great. You keep playing the first game, which had shitty game AI, and, had fucking terrible crit rate calculations. You keep doing what you're doing. That's fine.
She sounds really nerdy to me, by the way, but okay, go ahead. Crit rate calculations.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, so, first thing I want to talk about is the progression of Pokemon games. I know I talked about it before in the last podcast, but this is something I really want to get into, is the difference Pokemon has made since its creation. The first Pokemon game was pretty fun. It was mostly about the story, it was new and fresh. The second Pokemon game was obviously improving upon the first. Same exact, pretty much story, maybe talking about the first story a little bit, it was fun. Third story, definitely more differentiation in battle systems. This is when I felt Pokemon started getting more complex in its battle, and this is when metagame really started. Without the wireless, but still, it started then. And then Diamond and Pearl started, and oh my god, metagame flew off the handle. This is when we started getting Smogon and shit like that. Which I hate, by the way, but we'll get into that another day.
Wait, you hate what?
Smogon.
What is that?
Pokemon fans will know. You don't need to know, but
okay,
Pokemon fans will know. But the thing I really want to talk about in terms of Oros, as much as I love that generation.
Oros?
Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald.
I'm speaking to all the non-Pokemon fans out there. I'm just trying to ask questions that you would ask.
Okay.
Because I'm not a Pokemon fan.
Anyway, hold on, Brian. Keep talking for a second.
So, I'm not a Pokemon fan. I stopped after Yellow. I did buy Diamond, which was kind of fun, but I didn't beat that game.
Anyway, okay. What I really want to talk about is sequels. And I don't want to step on sequelitis here. because this is only going to be for a little bit, but I really want to talk about the successfulness of sequels.
I love you, Raptor.
Brian?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, obviously the first thing I want to talk about is Pokemon. Pokemon has been such a successful sequel series. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, thinking about how successful they are, I want to kill myself. Because, holy shit, they did the same shit for 7 games. Plus, whatever, I don't even remember how many games there are. And they make so much money off of Pokemon. Which I know is a legitimate money grab. But at the same time, it's almost like a different game every time. Just because Pokemon is so lovable, and it's such a good game, you know, it's like, I played literally every Pokemon game and every hack there possibly is just because I love the theme of Pokemon so much. They did it so good, they did it so right, and it's just a great thing to have in your life, you know? And Brian, I heard you laughing over there. You suck my dick.
I'm not laughing.
Anyway, but, okay, obviously the real reason I want to talk into this is about sequels and what sequels mean. Is it just a money grab, or is it people trying to expand on the story? And I feel like it really is dependent on the developer and the publisher. Like, Pokemon, obviously, huge money grab.
Wait,
700...
wait, I have a question.
Oh, Brian has a question. Hold on.
Okay, so...
He just got another drink.
Hi, everybody. Brian's back. So the first few Pokemon games were developed by HAL Laboratories, the same guys that do the Smash... They used to do, or still do, I really don't know, the Smash Brothers games, right? Who publishes them now? Who develops them now?
Game Freak?
Game Freak. No, you're right. Game Freak was the first.
Yeah, Game Freak was the first people.
Are they still doing...
professional. Yeah, they still...
Okay, Game Freak still does those games, which is very nice because I've seen series that go from good to bad because they switch developers. For example, the Metroid series, which we will get into next podcast because I want to fucking talk about that. But, Michelle, go ahead.
Metroid is too difficult to get into right now.
Metroid... Oh my god, if you guys...
Anyway, so sequels, the list I have in front of me, I wrote when I was sober, is obviously Pokemon.
Yep.
Which I believe is both a money grab and an extension, because Pokemon is such a... The lore behind it is so extensive, and you could really get into it, although since it's a kid's game, you know, you never really know between the two. It can be a kid's game, it can be a adult game, you know, I feel like it's really open for anyone, which is great for such a game. The second game I want to talk about is Super Smash Brothers, which is a new sequel that's been coming out, you know. And, don't get me wrong, I love Smash Brothers. I've been playing it since I was a kid. But it's come out with so many sequels, I feel like they're just grabbing for sticks. You know?
Well,
what do you think?
It's Nintendo, and Nintendo will do a new iteration on every console. Think of Mario, think of Zelda, think of like Zelda. But at the same time, it's like Smash Brothers is a good idea. It's a fighting game for people who are fans of Nintendo that, you know, it's very relatable in like, oh, I know Link and I know, what's that game?
Mario?
No, that
Pokemon?
game where you shoot them like there's a dog that laughs at you. You shoot the
Fox?
ducks.
Star Fox?
Duck Hunt. There's the
Duck
duck. There's the
Hunt?
Duck Hunt dog in the new one.
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
it's like there's so many relatable characters, and you just have it. Like Mario Kart. It's like, hey, do you want to come over and play some Smash Brothers or Mario Kart? It's like, yeah, of course I do. And it is kind of deep, and there are tournaments for it. But a sequel, just to be a sequel, I don't agree with.
Exactly. That's how I felt like Super Smash Bros. Wii U was. No offense to any Super Smash Bros. Fans out there, because I played it. Don't get me wrong, I played it, and it was a great game. You know, it was pretty much the same / different, I guess, in terms of realizing it to the Super Smash Bros. Wii stuff, fucking shit. And it was good. There's new characters, you know, there's new moves, but it was pretty much the same shit since Super Smash Bros. The original, you know? Which
Yeah.
I played! I
On
played the
64.
original. You know,
Yeah.
Brian had that game on the little fucking box looking thing.
The N64?
Yeah, that thing. And, I played it, and it was pretty much, it's been the same since 64, Melee, Wii, and then Wii U.
What she's saying is, Nintendo is treating Smash Brothers like EA treats Madden, where it's the same thing but just updated graphics and frame rate.
And I don't blame them. That's an essentially a money grab, which everybody has to do. If you want to keep up making... Somebody talked about this. I don't remember who, because I'm super drunk. But somebody talked about how you have to keep doing shit like that just so you can get money to make new and impressive games.
I just talked about that, by the way.
Okay, no, it wasn't you. Somebody... I think it was Game Informer. I don't know.
I was talking about EA. And how they make...
Not EA. I'm talking about somebody else. But anyway, Smash Brothers is not the only series that's done this. My list right now is Smash Brothers Resident Evil, which is a huge fucking sequel whore. I'll be honest, it's the same shit every sequel. And Final Fantasy, which isn't so much the same sequel, but the same concept.
Wait. First of all, I will say, I have never, ever played a Resident Evil game before.
Oh my god.
I was there for N64. I was 6 or 7 years old when the first Resident Evil came out, like the prime market for it. But I have never, ever, besides seeing Let's Plays and other things like that, played a Resident Evil game before.
You're not my brother.
Ever, never.
We're not related. I'm sorry,
never.
folks. We've stopped being related via this podcast.
Alright, fine. That's fine. That's fair. So
but
fair.
Regardless, Resident Evil, pretty much, in my opinion, I know this is going to be very hotly debated. Debated. It hasn't really changed its focus. Zombies being killed by STARS members, you know, the movies are the same, the video games are the same. I'm sure the graphics and the gameplay have gotten better, but the initial, you know, like fucking the story, you know, it's like, okay, zombies, okay, humans, aka killing each other.
So I'll say this. At a certain point, people become familiar with something. It's like females, no offense, and makeup. There's a study done where 47% of women who bought makeup before they were 18 stayed with the same makeup company until they died.
Wow,
So I'm the same way. Anything Blizzard puts out, I will play. Because you know what? They make quality games, and I like them. Anything BioWare puts out, I will play. Because you know what? They're consistent, and I will play them. At the same time, other people are like, I like Madden because, you know, it's Madden. I enjoy Madden. Some people like, oh, I like FIFA. Or, hey, I like Pokemon.
Woo!
Because Pokemon puts out games. I like Mario games, so I will buy anything attached to Mario. Everybody is guilty of that. And if you say no, you're a damn liar, and you should go die in a fire.
Okay, disclaimer, you shouldn't go die in a fire.
No, but what I'm saying is, companies will grab people. They will grab anybody they can, just because people have different tastes. Some people like Madden games. Me, personally, I played Madden 07, and that was the last Madden game I played. Honestly, because...
To be honest, I've played every Pokemon game to date.
See, I've played every Blizzard game to date. It's just human nature. It's like, you go to
it's like when you trust somebody and you can't stop trusting them, you know?
Yeah,
it's like alcoholism. You love alcohol, and you won't stop drinking it. You can't help it, man.
It's like when you're already drunk.
Story of this channel.
It's like when you're already drunk and someone hands you a drink. At a certain point when you're drunk, you stop asking what's in it and then just drink it.
Exactly.
You know, everybody is guilty of that. And if you say you're not, then
we're
you're lying.
35 minutes.
We'll be fine. If you say you're not, then you're lying.
We've still got 2 more things.
Okay, so
three more things.
Talk about 3 more things.
All right.
Go ahead, quick.
We're starting to stop this, but the subtopic about this is I want to talk about the directions that consoles are taking in gaming. So basically, in my own opinion, we're going to make this a little short. You can talk about this in the comments if you want. I think Nintendo is going straight for handheld games. The 3DS is becoming much more popular than the Wii U, which I don't blame. The Wii U is kind of a flop, but at the same time, I feel like Nintendo is not ready for just the handheld market. You know, they really want to keep trying for the regular market, but I feel like a lot of changes have to happen for that.
So I saw a statistic online where it was like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers are their big hits. You know, Nintendo makes great Nintendo games. They make shitty third-party games. Bayonetta 2 is a very, very rare
Get it,
exception.
rare.
Rare sucks. Very, very rare. Rare sucks now. Very, very rare exception, but Nintendo makes great Nintendo games, and you buy a Wii U. Why? Because you love Nintendo games. You like Donkey Kong. You like Mario. You like Mario Kart. You like the Smash Brothers games. That is it. If you enjoy a third-party game, it is you and nobody else on your block, or nobody else in your neighborhood that enjoys that game. Nintendo is a very, very niche market, and it likes it. Sorry. I'm going to stop talking. Okay, Michelle's going to go to the bathroom. I'll cover the rest of this. So, what I say about a niche market is, you think of PlayStation and Xbox. When I think of Xbox, I think of Halo and Master Chief. Now, I'm very biased in that, and I have never owned a Microsoft console. Xbox 360, Xbox One. I've never owned one of those consoles. Now, I've owned every single or Sony console to date. PS1, PS2, PS3. You know, my brother-in-law has a PS4 because I played Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8 and Final Fantasy 9. That was the only game systems that they were available on. And now I play either PC or Wii U. Why? Because a lot of games now are PC, PS4, and Xbox One, or just Wii U, which I enjoy. I feel like PC, Xbox One, and PS4 are one of the consoles that you have, and then you have a Wii U just to play Nintendo games, which a lot of my friends do. You know, you play those for Mario and your Luigi and your Karts and your Smash Brothers, and then you have the PC, Xbone, or PS4 for your actual gaming, like your Dragon Age or your BioShock, or you know, any like first-person shootery games. It's just what console you enjoy the most. It's just you have a Wii U to play Nintendo if you know Nintendo. Hey Michelle, she just fell over. But at the same time, you have one of those other consoles, PC, Xbox, or PS4, to play any new amazing releases that come out besides Nintendo games.
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
I almost fell over 3 times.
No, you did. So we're gonna, I'm done with that conversation, so you can go to the next one.
Okay, whew.
Whew.
Actually, I want to talk about the directions that the games are going right now, in my own opinion.
Okay.
I don't know what you talked about, so it might be the same, might be different. I feel like PC games are going in a very indie direction, because indie games are so much easier to broadcast online. I feel like Xbox One games are going in a very mainstream way,
and
where
PS4.
Only the people who can afford it go. I feel like PS4 is actually the middleman in all of this. They go for kind of indie games, but they also want to broadcast their own mainstream games. But I feel like they're trying to go stretching too far in each direction, and I feel like PS4 is ultimately gonna fail just because of this reason. And I feel like the Wii U and the Wii, I feel like it's just gonna stay kids games, you know?
No.
Just because that's the market they go for most of the time.
Like I just said, the Wii and the Wii U are niche markets, but I feel like you decide, honestly, I feel like you decide between a good PC, an Xbox One, or a PS4. You pick whatever series you like, and you stick with one. I don't think it's a battle between PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U. I feel like you buy a Wii U if you like Nintendo and Nintendo games. Mm-hmm. You buy a good PC, or an Xbox One, or a PS4, depending on what platform you like the best.
I feel like the Wii U is probably like the secondary console you always buy, which I feel like is what they make the most money on, you know?
I feel like
you either buy a PS4, Xbox One, or you have a nice PC. Everybody has a computer nowadays,
but not a nice PC.
And there's no or. You buy a Wii U. You know, you always buy the Nintendo product just because everybody loves Nintendo. Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's move on. We're running out of time. We got 5 minutes.
Woo!
All right, I got 3 more topics I want to talk about. Investing in a game before it's released.
Oh, early access.
Early access games. This is gonna be quick because Brian has a huge opinion on this.
Yes.
Brian, go. Go on.
Okay, I'm going. So, early access to me used
It's
to
a bunch
be
of bullshit.
okay. So, early access is alpha beta. Okay, people do not understand that. What an alpha, like open alpha is. It's like this game is not even close to being released. It is an alpha, which means that they're still working on stuff. They can change the game completely if they wanted, and it's in its development stage. What beta means is, yes, this game is close to release. What we're doing is testing out the bugs, then we're going to release it. Early access to me means alpha. It means alpha testing, which means that these developers are just looking to see what bugs are going on, what people do or do not like about the game. So if you buy into early access, you're buying into alpha, which means the game could or could not be released, first of all. And second of all, could or could not be playable, which people don't understand. Which Steam recently changed their description on early access games. Is like, if you buy this game, do not expect your money back if this game doesn't release because it's in early access or alpha, which is all I'm going to say about it. Yay.
Really? That's all you're gonna say about
Yeah,
it?
it's if you want to Google what alpha testing is, you can. That's what early access is. And people don't understand that. I'm going to the bathroom.
Alright, while Brian goes to the bathroom, I'm gonna talk about early access games. Or perhaps even beta games. I've never been a huge fan of beta games, even when they were acceptable, like, oh, we've only got a couple bugs and we want your opinions on them. But, I've never been a huge fan. I feel like a game should only be released when it's completely done. And, I know that's a little old school, but I feel like a gamer who spends $50 to $60 on a game deserves that kind of, hard work, It should take somebody a long-ass time to finish a game that they want to play. They won't want people to play. And, I always harken back to, the Mega Man, Super Mario, Quest 64. Okay, Quest 64 wasn't that great, but, I always harken back to those old games where you couldn't play them until they were completely out. And not only because of technology reasons, but because developers and publishers weren't ready enough to play those games, or send those games out until they were ready to play. And, I feel like it still should be like that. I mean, sure, early access might be useful, because people have different opinions nowadays. But I feel like early access should also only take those opinions with a grain of salt, And people might want to change games that aren't really for the better. Because I feel like artistic abilities still count. I feel like the developer slash publisher slash writer or slash even artist should have their own opinion on things. And they should be able to affect things in their own way instead of, being affected by the user or the player who hasn't even been able to see the whole game yet, That's my second to last point. Let's move on to the second to last point. Okay. Shit, that was my third to last point, fuck. My second to last point is when/if, I actually stole this from Reddit, so nobody hate on me.
Ooh.
When do you decide to give up on a game you've been playing? What's the point in time that you decide, you know what, this game is not worth playing yet. I don't want to play this game anymore. It's not worth it.
For me, it's when I go on my computer, which is my primary gaming place. I go on my computer, and I'm no longer excited to play the game. I don't beat a game just to beat it. I'm not a big achievement guy. I don't go for all the achievements. When I go on my computer and I say to myself, I would rather watch YouTube videos or other replays of other games than play this game, I stop playing it. Like Mass Effect 3, for example. I stopped playing that game 7/8 of the way through because at a certain point I was like, this game is fun. I liked playing this game, but I'm not going to play the rest of it because I don't feel like it. I'm not going to play a game all the way through just to do it. And I'm not going to keep playing a game for achievements or play through it again for achievements. When I stop having fun, I stop playing a game. That's me. A lot of people are different, but that's just my opinion.
I suppose I have to half-heartedly agree with Brian just because, if anybody's not having fun with the game, they have to quit it. You know, no matter what game it is, whether it's a video game or real life game, it's like, if you're not having fun with the game, what's the fucking point of playing it? The point in which I have to give up on a game is when I feel like I have to put too much work in versus the rewards. This especially applies to last week's discussion about freemium games, where I have to, like recently, one of the games, out of the 2 freemium games I've been playing, I have to put much more work in than I previously thought I would have to. And, you know, it's okay. Like, I guess I'll end up doing it, but it's much less entertaining to do than it was before. And I know this is probably because I've been playing a little bit longer and they want to extort more money out of me, but, you know, I mean, it's like, oh, I have to spend at least 2 or 3 weeks on evolving one of these characters that I have. It's like, you know, I don't really feel like evolving one of these characters for 2 or 3 weeks. I want something more quickly rewarding, so I turn to a different online game. And it's like, it's just a huge cycle where I just try to get something faster and faster in different games.
And we'll get more into this in another podcast because I'm hosting next week's podcast. I've already decided.
Oh shit, we're at 46 minutes.
I know. And I'm just saying that what a lot of MMORPGs get wrong, because I played a lot of MMORPGs, is the first few levels, especially like level 10 or 20, are really boring. It's like, if you have... It's like working out. Some people work out because they know at the end they're going to look good, they're going to feel good. Why don't a lot of people start working out? Because it's a lot of work for that first month or first 2 months. And it's like, do I want to spend the first month or 2 months sore and feel bad? No, I don't want to do that. It's the same thing with MMORPGs. It's like, yes, if you get into it and you start doing it, and at the end you're always ingrained with it and you're in that community, yes, it's awesome. But just the entry into that is so long and arduous, it's just not worth it. To me. Anyway,
last topic. I feel like Brian saw this, but...
Nope.
Last topic. We talked about this earlier, which gave me an idea for something for us to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Is video games now versus video games as a kid.
Okay.
Which, for us, is about 13 to 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is why, when we started playing video games, it's probably different for a lot of you who only played video games when like 7 to 11. But we started playing video games when we were pretty young. Our parents were pretty okay with it just because they were pretty old by that time. They were like, oh, whatever, fuck, whatever you do, whatever you fucking want, we don't care.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it, and I feel like if I had explored games as a kid, it would have been much different when I explored them as older. For example, for me, Oblivion versus Skyrim. I know that wasn't a much of a big year difference, but I feel like it was a big difference for me versus, like, you know, Oblivion was such a creative, fun game for me. I was so excited about it. Everything was new and crazy. Versus Skyrim, who I was expecting shit out of. You know, I was like, okay, this is a sequel to Oblivion. It must be fucking great. And it was fun. It really was fun. But at this time, I was like, you know what? This is okay. It's just basically like an Oblivion reprint. You know, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me with that, but because I was a kid when I played Skyrim versus an adult, a kid when I played Oblivion versus an adult when I played Skyrim, it's going to be a lot different.
I mean, I feel the same way. It's video games are definitely a time and place thing, kind of like TV, in that I've listened to a lot of Game Informer like replays and reviews, in where they say, yes, I played the first Zelda hundreds of hours. But that's the only game I had, and the only game out at the time. If you go back and play Legend of Zelda now, you will immediately look up a guide to see where the first dungeon is, where to get all the ship.
Yeah,
like,
man, yeah.
You beat that game in like 4 to 6 hours, even in your first playthrough. Now, back in the day, it took you hundreds of hours to beat the game because you had no idea where to go or what to do. I beat Donkey Kong Country at least 9 or 10 times. Why? Because that was one of the only games that we had and that I was good at. Nowadays, you have so many games, so many game consoles, so many different avenues for gaming, I feel like just that exploration and everything else is just gone. Like when I played Ocarina of Time for the first time, I watched my brother play it, Rob, and he got to be an adult Link, and I've never got to that point. So I was playing his save, and for like 30 minutes, I would just watch adult Link swing his sword and just like hear all the different sound effects he had, and just be enamored by it. But nowadays, it's just there's so many different avenues, so many different things for gaming where I don't feel like people now have that same like sense of exploration that we have now. You know?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, Michelle's sleeping, so I'll close this out. Thank you for listening, everybody, and I hope that you join us next time on Gamin' Podcast.
Woo!
Or whatever this is called.